quite frank, Elizabeth Herndon should not be alive.
Research tells us that you are at least 20 times more likely to die if you are directly hit by a tornado in a manufactured home versus a site-built structure.
So why is she here? Why is Elizabeth alive? She believes, in part, God spared her to tell her story in an instant like tonight, to save lives, because there will be a next tornado.
In a matter of minutes, we went from a family of 5 to now 3. Most days I can't stand here without tears running down my face talking about the same thing that me and you are standing here talking about. But I, prayed very hard this morning for the strength to stand here.
What happened to your husband?
Blunt force trauma to his head, my daughter as well. It was just, her little body was so small. But I do have a lot of comfort knowing that they didn't suffer through the power of prayer. I know where they are. I know they're okay. I know they're perfect. The selfish part of me wishes that they were still here. My husband was my best friend. Just my person. Everybody has their person. He is my person. So life will never, ever, ever be the same without him.
It looks like for the most part you're okay.
My hip will always hurt. It was dislocated. It was pretty bad. My arm most likely will always hurt. It was severely broken, and when they did surgery they had to cut the nerves. I can't feel a lot of my face. However, looking at me now versus looking at me that night, the plastic surgeon did a phenomenal job. My whole family, broken legs, broken arms, broken collarbones, punctured lungs. God allows things, and if he allows things, it's just in his eyes, and it's right. I might walk a little funny, I might be a little slower, but I'm still here, I'm still me, and I will tell this story as long as I can if it'll help anybody. And these injuries are far less severe than they could have been, and that's what I have to remind myself every single day.
What happens next?
Well, we have to try to rebuild. We're not just rebuilding a structure to be a safe roof over our head. We've got to rebuild from the ground up in a different way. We've got to rebuild every single thing. Every sentimental item that me or my children had from my husband, their daddy, or even from Riley when she was a baby, gone. Wedding rings, my son's death certificate, important things with important information on it, it's all gone. It's just, when you walk up to where my house was, it is a dirt pad, but I am prepared to rebuild right there. I don't think my husband would have let that scare him away from his childhood home. If I could go back to that night, I would get out. Now knowing a mobile home, they might tell you that it can withstand up to X amount of wind and all of this, but they don't. And I would have much rather left the home and not needed to than been there, and I should have left.
So we visited with Elizabeth when she was still in the hospital, and I've thought about her almost every single day since then and what she went through, and I can say I'm profoundly convicted by her last point. There is no such thing as a safe mobile home during any tornado. And so if you live in a mobile home 360 days a year, 364 days a year, it is fine. But if we're talking there's a chance for a tornado, the thing Elizabeth wanted to emphasize over and over again is that you have to get out in that situation here. So that's something we're both committed to telling the story for going forward. And so it's a big headline. If you think that there's a chance, you have to get out in the case of severe weather, because in the case of her house, it was almost a brand new mobile home. That meant almost brand new tie downs. And the way you die in a mobile home is not the walls collapsing in, it's the big building, the structure rolls. And there's no roll cage built into one of these. So her emphasis, my emphasis going forward, we're going to make this a big, big point, is if there's even a chance, you have to get someplace safer.
Well, thank you so much for those stories, and a big thank you to Elizabeth and her family for sharing that story.
And of course, if you do want to help out, Elizabeth and her family do have a GoFundMe set up. This was set up by a family friend. So if you feel like you want to help out, all you have to do, grab your phone, scan the QR code right there on your screen. It'll take you there You can also visit WTVA.com for more information on that GoFundMe.